it seems like it's always the same old conversation with this team. They look very lifeless against the Devils the other night.
I don't know. I don't know that it is the same old. It's different. It could be at home too. Maybe it's not necessarily the most energy we've seen, and they do play a lot of home games. I was just on with EJ Raddick earlier on his show, and he told me they have so many home games. Look, I said in the preseason, I like this team as it's constructed on paper more in February, March, April, May than I do in October, November, December. Always an exciting team offensively, and this might change their DNA a little bit. It takes a little bit of time. I think it takes time to sort of understand the whole process and how you want to play a game, how you want to play a season throughout. And I appreciate the fact, and I saw it last year, particularly with Austin Matthews, that they wanted to do it from game 1 through 82. So it wasn't a switch you want to flip in the playoffs. Now, there have been changes. Like you take away a superstar in Mitch Marner, who in games like these, or in times like these, rather, in the season where it could potentially be stale, he has the ability to go and make a play and change a game in one shift. And understanding that you've taken that away from your team and you've tried to add something else, value doesn't really equal each other right now. But I think a Nick Watt, I think, even Dakota Joshua, who probably would admit that it's not the greatest start for him so far. Those guys, their value will show up in the second half of the season and late in the season and after the trade deadline and then into the playoffs. I think those guys would help a lot, like Lawrence and McMahon. These guys are going to change that DNA. I think you have high character guys. I think you have, passion there. We saw it with Anthony Stolarz this past week, who called some players out. And then in a game where they lose to the Devils, it wasn't a good game. He stepped in front of the microphone. He got in front of the cameras and took the blame that I didn't think was necessarily his fault. They gave him a 4-on-1 goal to Brendan Dillon. Like 4-on-1s. I don't know how many times those are executed because you don't even practice them because they're so rare. But he took what he thought he had to do. He went out and said, I have to make a save there. We're starting to find our game a little bit, and I let up a goal that I should have had. That stuff to me, I think, will help in the long run.
And so, as time progresses, and like you say, in the second half of the season, you'll start to see this stuff, come to fruition. Is all those little things like the missteps and the Jersey game and the Stoli calling guys out and them not really understanding yet, how to jump in for their goalie and play a little bit, for each other. Is that all a process that's happening here in the first half of the season, do you believe?
Yeah, and hopefully that lesson can be learned quick, Jay, because it's a bad look. And the goalie coming out and saying it, is fine, because I had no problem with it, because listen, I hope whatever Joseph Woll is going through right now, he can tackle that, and there's that's where his singular focus should be, and that's probably where it is, and that's great. And understand that he's not coming through the door and helping you next week. That's going to be a process that once he's cleared, hopefully everything's great, and then he gets to start sort of training, getting back into it. You're thin at that position. You need to protect that guy who's had injury trouble at all costs, because he's giving you good minutes. He's a good goaltender. I think who's won? Like who has won the past few years? And not just Florida, but teams that have gone far. You do something like that, you're going to have to answer. And I saw in Buffalo, Rasmus Dahlin mixing it up and Tage Thompson coming in. And there's a bit of a melee behind the net. And it's not like nobody's going to get injured. No one's ripping somebody's head off, but they're standing there looking you in the eye and not taking any crap from anybody. And then Buffalo starts to win. It's not really a coincidence. The passion and the energy and being cohesive as a team like Jay, I hopped on and I heard you talk about killing off that roughing penalty. Yeah, those are the ones you kill off. And
Yeah.
eventually teams back off a little bit. They don't want to, they've played 3 and 4 and they don't really just like, not tonight. I don't want to get involved in that. And then you can steamroll. You bring the energy. You bring your own team into the fight. See if the other team backs down or if they stand nose to nose. And those are the memorable games too. Those are the games you talk about on the bus to the plane after. Who got face washed and who got called out, and that chirp was funny, and like knock that guy out next time. It's like that brings you together as a group. Yeah, and unfortunately or fortunately, I mean I get entertained by it. It's not going away. It might happen less, but it's not going away.
I agree. And I think in general, when you look at this Maple Leafs team, I think a quirky thing you brought up was the home slate in October. Like they're always playing at home, and you guys, I defer to you guys being former players. Do you sort of look at that as a negative aspect for a team that's made so much change? Like camaraderie is big on the road and chemistry and building team chem, no?
Yeah, I would. It doesn't help that the Jays are doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you get to those home games, it's like, yeah, hockey's fun and we're excited, but it's going to get more fun as the season goes on. Right now, the Jays, powder blue unis, those things are fresh. Yeah, the road trips, early season road trips is when you have a lot of fun and you can kind of really get close. Because when you're a close team, you'd fight for anyone. You get guys come out of their comfort zone and do things that you don't see as often, but they're willing to do it because you've been through different things. You get to know guys more. You have new faces now. You want them to feel as much a part of it, like they've been there for a long time.
And as Craig Berube is, basically tasked with bringing a new identity to this team, what do you think are the kinds of things he can do to try to expedite that process and get these guys to play with a little more confidence, swagger, some intensity, and play together?
Well, it's, that's St. Louis group he had. They did a lot of things together after games, before, on road trips. That was a tight group from everything that I had heard. And the way they played was pretty direct hockey. So, in this season, with the condensed schedule, with the number of guys that will be playing international or in the Olympics, you want to get this right prior to the Olympics and get kind of munch some points and climb up in the Atlantic. You have to play direct, straight line hockey, and you have a number of guys that can do it. And I know Willie is going to do what Willie does. He's second in the league in points. He's already had, 2 headlines about him and a goalie calling him out. He's second in the league in points. Willie's going to do what he's going to do. You want that. You need that kind of guy. It's just like, I'm going to still contribute. You're not going to bug me. But they have to be direct. You can read off guys when you go direct. Like, what does Florida do? Like, it's a strong side, quick up every time. They're through the neutral zone, they dump it in. Carolina's the same thing. They just get it out, they dump it in, and they go to work. And when you have injuries, when you switch up the lines a little bit, you can anticipate how everybody's going to play when you do that consistently, and then you're going to get on teams. And what do you do? Like, Jay, when you get hemmed in or you have to defend, especially in second periods, and you're getting hit and you're getting forechecked, like if you're getting, it's hard to get the puck out. That's when seams open up. That's when you sort of condense as a defensive group. That's when the Toronto Maple Leafs can start to move the puck around and then make their plays. But you got to say screw the plays and dump it in and get after it a little bit. Wear a team down in the second period, halfway through the second period, third period, you take over the game. It's the same thing. That's what Florida does every year. They do it in the playoffs every year. That's how they beat Boston when they were down 3-1. Paul Maurice has the famous, mic'd up clip on the bench saying, F the plays. You get up in the game, you think we can make plays, screw it. Hit their D. In game 7, they'll have nothing left. Like, that's just the mentality you can take a little bit of and put that in your DNA, because everyone can do it. Whether they've done it in the past or not, they can do it. It's just a matter of work.
And
I've been go ahead, Rosie.
Sorry, Nick, that's contagious too, right, Brian? Like if everyone's doing it and you're the odd man out not doing it, that's, it's contagious. And people are on Craig Berube about, oh, what are you going to dump and chase the game like it's the 90s? But I think to your point, that gets that creates the opportunities where you do it at over 60 minutes, then you're in the zone more, and those guys are on their heels, like you say, and then that's when the Willie Nylanders and the Matthews get their cookies, right? But I just think the problem is, especially in the playoffs, you can't create any opportunities because you can't get the puck, you can't set it up, you can't get in their zone because the dipsy doodle shit in the playoffs just goes away. Are you on board with that? Like Craig Berube is creating an opportunity for them to use their talents down in their zone?
Yeah, it's like what do you do on a power play when your breakout's not working? Like you go into you make an adjustment and you end up putting it deep. You win a couple battles. All right, now we can go to work. It's the same thing, 5-on-5. Getting it out, getting it through the neutral zone, and getting it into the offensive zone. If you can do that well, you're a playoff team every year. That's it. It's how it's always going to be. You just look at, I coach 10-year-olds and I coach from I try to go from the top down. What can everybody do that the best teams in the NHL do? And then we sort of work like that. We're not taking away a 10-year-old's creativity. I'm not telling them to dump it in all the time. But if it's later in a game and we need offense, they just put it in and go to work. If a team's in their own end, they can't score. And you can get on them and they're going to make a mistake. If they make a mistake, you have a scoring chance. It's pretty simple to me. And the best teams have been able to do it, and they get to the playoffs and they get through the playoffs. I don't think there's anything wrong with dumping it in. If a D backs off, you dump in for a couple games in a row. A pre-scout of a coach on an opposing team's like, they're going to dump everything in. Weak side D, anticipate the dump. This team's good enough to pass it across the ice, and the guy's going to walk in. They're not robots, but you just need to establish. It's almost like football. You want to do field position first, get it down there, put the ball in their end, make them make plays. If they can't, you're going to be on the attack the whole game.
It's been a very fascinating start, I think, in general for this Atlantic Division. Montreal's off to a red-hot start. Yeah. Detroit as well, though they lose to Buffalo on Wednesday night. But this is a fun question that's being debated a lot in this market right now. You look at sort of the juggernaut teams, quote-unquote, of this division. Florida, Tampa, or Toronto. Who's in the most trouble, in your opinion, right now?
Well, Tampa. They got one win, right? Yeah. And they don't have the injury problems.
Yeah.
I'm worried about that team. It's kind of bizarre what's happening. And you can't expect just to get in. Because I think Montreal is one of the most fun teams to watch, if not the most fun team to watch. And they got in. I thought they might take a step back. It doesn't look like they're going to. It remains to be seen. I mean, it's so early. And it's early for Tampa, too, with that winning. They still have a winning pedigree. They still have, superstar players down there. You get, Gensel's a superstar, probably underrated. Braden Point, Kucherov, and Hagel, like these guys are international players now. I mean, Kucherov's not because he's not allowed to, but like Vasilevsky, Hedman, like they're I think they'll be fine. But like if Buffalo figures it out, I mean, Detroit looks real good. I only lost to Buffalo last night, but they look like Dylan Larkin looks like a different animal this year. Yeah. So, and the Metro's kind of weird too. It's kind of going all over the place in the East anyway. You just want to find your game again because they're going to the Olympics and all your best players are leaving to go to the Olympics on whatever team you are. And if you're behind where you think you should be at that point, who knows what you're getting when they come back. They'll still be good players, but that's kind of a big crash that they're going to have to come down from after representing their country in Milan. They come back to their team. Yeah, you want to make the playoffs, but you're taking a lot out of these guys. So you want to be in the right spot before, that break happens in February.
Bottom line, you don't want to get caught like chasing the season. Like, for example, Calgary, you may laugh, but I think they're cooked. I think they're done already. So you don't want to be that team either, right? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they're a different,
They couldn't score last year, and then they had this frenzy thing. I thought, honestly, they would, what did they finish? 96 points last year? I thought they'd take a step just because I liked how they defended. I mean, Wolf's a great story. They got gritty veteran guys, but like they're scratching their top 2 or 3 most dynamic offensive player for a couple games in a row. And Sharon Govich, he just doesn't hit or defend or play any sort of jam. And if you're a team that doesn't score goals, like I wanted to bring this back to you, like Jay, you said it's contagious, right? If you're the guy that's not hitting, like you stick out, right? But I've been on teams where like the things that I did well at the NHL level mattered because I was on playoff teams, good teams. And there was one season where, we weren't in the playoff mix in Jersey, my second year in Jersey. And like, how bad are you going to block a shot or really try to win a draw when you're down 3, or hit that D-man when you're down 3, like for the 7th game in a row? Like, do those little things matter when you're chasing 3 goals every night? Or where it's just like, or I'm the guy that's going to go and try and run a guy on the forecheck, and then the next guy just does a drive-by? Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing that? Mm-hmm. So it's going to, if more than half the guys are doing it, everybody's going to get in line. If less than half the guys are doing it, no one's going to do it anymore. And you get Calgary, it's like, how hard are they going to dig in when it's like they're down 2-0 after the first? It's like, we only score 1 goal a game, so we'll get them next time. They're in a tough spot right now. They need to start scoring.
Yeah, and the brutal thing with that is like there's incentive to lose almost, and like, are we going to battle our asses off to finish, 20th or 23rd in the league, like, or do we just let her go and get a chance? It's a very interesting thing. But no, to your point, that intensity and doing the right things, and like when you're on the bench, it doesn't translate. It still translates to the television, I think, where it's like, woo, 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 like shift after shift, and it's like, keep this thing going, boys, and you're like, oh, I'm up, like fucking keep this thing going. But when they're flat and no one's doing it, it's just, you're just going uphill the whole time, and it's a brutal feeling. And I really think that these Leafs, like you mentioned, have all the firepower, and I think they've got, check the right boxes with the guys that can do that stuff. It's just a matter of putting it together and getting to that place where you can just ride wave after wave, shift after shift, and get that momentum going and end up playing in their zone where, oh, there's Willie, oh, there's Matthews to make the big play that wins the game off one of their mistakes. It's again, it's not rocket science. It just gets frustrating for the Leafs fans to watch kind of the same shit over and over again. But we got to remind people it's early and 7 games in. We can't be losing it here. It's October.
Well, yeah, and I think you don't even need these guys that all have career years for this to be a really good hockey team and then make plays when it matters. And so what's in the Metro, you get the Rangers, who are 0-4 at home and have scored 1 goal at home. I'm watching them, and I watched them pretty closely. I watched them close last year. They were 12-4 after 16 last year. Looked like a tire fire. I love their game right now. I mean, their opening night at home wasn't great. Their last game against Minnesota wasn't great. But if I was Mike Sullivan, I'm like, this is all right. This is exactly how I want them to play. These pucks will eventually go in the net. There's, the fourth line's contributing and adding an element. And Mika looks like Mika again. He's skating well. And the goaltending's great. The defensive zone and their structure throughout all 3 zones has been so good that, like, Igor, he's not going to have many difficult nights. If there's a breakdown, he's going to be there because he's so talented. That has longevity. That has staying power if that continues. Now, you got to keep the buy-in when no goals are going in the net. That's a hard thing. And I guess that's the challenge. But these guys are pros. They have tons of ability. I love what they have up front with Tavares and Matthews in terms of their character and what they're able to do. JT still, he's a cool story, but then they got young guys that are going to keep getting better. Like, what's the ceiling for Matthew Knies? Like, this guy, you get Cowan in there looking around and seeing sort of what makes these guys operate and how hard it really is for even these great players. That's not going to be a detriment to him. That's going to be beneficial to realize how hard he's got to work always to reach whatever potential he is. These are things you think about when it's, again, just this early. And a culture that's brought in from Berube. It's direct. It's no bullshit. It's straight lines. Screw your feelings. We're trying to win.
Back to back with Buffalo Friday, Saturday. Can't wait for this, boys. Boiler, thank you so much for your time today.
You got it. Thanks, fellas.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.